Hi again. I'm out on my deck, and as you can see, again, it's another gorgeous day. But today, I just wanted to show you a nice yoga flow sequence to strengthen your core and your abs. As you know, a lot of the yoga asanas and postures they center from your core, so it's really, really important to have a strong core. Keep your abs tight. I know myself. I've had four children, so if I don't keep that area tight, it just kind of turns into a little mommy pooch. So I always like to work on my abs maybe before my practice. Just, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 minutes to keep the abs tight. So you can follow along with this video or just watch. Give me a thumbs up or comment, and I appreciate you watching today. Come into a standing position in the middle of your mat. Bring your hands to heart center. And let's just think about our intention for today's practice, and let's try to honor our bodies and our minds by allowing us to feel whatever we need to feel and to think whatever we need to think. Go ahead and raise your hands up to the sky, and on the exhale, bring your hands over to your right, squeezing the abs. Raise your hands back up to the middle, and then over to your right. Hands back to the middle, reaching as high as you can, and then back over to your right. Hands back to the middle, and reaching over to your left. One more time. Go ahead and bring your hands back to heart center and step to the top of your mat. And on the inhale, raise your hands up to the sky. Exhale down to the ground, forward fold, bringing your head to your knees. Raise your head up. Go ahead and step back into plank and lower down into chaturanga and into upward facing dog. Head back to the sky and then downward facing dog. And just rest here for a moment and make sure you're breathing. And go ahead and step to the top of your mat. Bring your head up to halfway lift, forward fold, head to knee. Raise your head up to the sky and hands back to heart center. On an inhale, raise your hands up to the sky. Bring your hands down to the ground, forward fold, head to knee. Go ahead and raise your head up into halfway lift. Step back into plank. Lower down into chaturanga. And then up into upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog. And just make sure you're taking a few deep breaths in and out here. In today's practice, we're going to be focusing on strengthening our core, so throughout this whole practice, let's try to remember to keep our abs tight. Go ahead and come back to the top of your mat. Raise your hands back up to the sky, hands back to heart center. Go ahead and sit down into chair pose, raising your hands up to the sky. And then we want to do a twist, so you want to have your left elbow to your right knee, engaging the abs and your quads in the front of your thighs. Go ahead and raise your hands back up to the sky. And you want to do a twist using your right elbow. Bring your right elbow to your left knee. Making sure you're engaging your abs and using the quads of your legs to squeeze. Go ahead and raise your hands back up to the sky, hands back to heart center. Now we want to go into a warrior one. So step your left foot back and the right foot is forward, raising your hands up to the sky. Bring your hands down to the ground, lower down into chaturanga, lift up into upward facing dog, head back to the sky, and then downward facing dog. And just remember to breathe here. Go ahead and step your left foot to the front of the mat in between your hands, and the right foot is back, pivoting down, and raise your hands up to the sky. Make sure you're breathing. Bring your hands back to the ground, Lower down into chaturanga, lift up into upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. And we should be breathing here. Go ahead and bring your knees to the ground and sit back into child's pose. And go ahead and come to your hands and knees, and we're going to do cat and cow. So you want to arch your back as much as you can up to the sky, and then bring it down. So you're arching your back, and then relax the spine back down. And arch your back, and back to a level in the spine area. So you want to arch your back, and then bring it back down flat. And make sure you engage your abs here as well. Go ahead and tuck your toes, come back into a plank position, and you want to switch over to your left side. So you have your left hand down to the ground and your left leg is over closest to the mat, and raise your hand up to the sky. Now we're going to switch sides. So come to the right side, so the right hand is to the ground and the right foot is to the ground. And this is really engaging the core and the abs. I'm going to switch back over to the other side into a plank, raising the right hand up to the sky and the left hand should be down to the ground, and bring your hips down without touching the mat. So you want to bring it down, don't touch the mat, and bring your hips back up. And back down, bring the hips back up. One more time. Make sure you take your time so you can keep your balance. And now let's switch to the other side. So now our right hand is down to the mat and left hand up to the sky. Bring your hips down as close as you can without touching the mat, and lift your hips back up. And keep your abs really, really tight. Make sure you keep your balance by taking your time. And bring your hands back down into plank position, and lower down into chaturanga, upward facing dog, head back to the sky, and then downward facing dog. And make sure you breathe. Go ahead and go back into a plank position, and you want to take your right knee to your right elbow and lift your hips up as high as you can to the sky. We're going to do just a few of these. This move really works the upper body as well as the abs. So really engage your core, lift up as high as you can, bring your chin to your knee. And let's do the other side. So you bring your chin to your knee, back down, lifting your hips up as high as you can. And go ahead and step back into plank position. And we're going to do a twist. So you want to take your left knee, bend it, and twist over to the other side. And you take your right, bend your knee, and twist over to the opposite side. So again, we're working the abs, and holding the plank works our upper body. So let's just do a few of these. You bend your knee and twist to the opposite side. Go ahead and bring your knees back down to the mat, and let's rest into child's pose for a moment. Taking a few deep breaths in and out. Those are really challenging. Go ahead and step back into plank pose, lower down into chaturanga, lift up into upward facing dog, and then back into downward facing dog. And let's come into a seated position, and you want to go ahead and sit as tall as you can. And we're going to go into boat pose, so you can lift your legs off of the ground and bring your hands out straight in front of you. You can try to lift your legs straight, but if it's easier, just bend your legs and just hold the pose here. And then cross your legs, use your arms to lift your butt up off the ground, and then come back into boat pose or Navasana. And just hold it here, engaging the abs. Hands back to the mat, lifting up off the ground, and back into boat pose. Cross your legs, using your hands to lift yourself off the ground as much as you can. Just try your best. And back into boat pose. Let's hold it for a few moments. Cross your legs, lift up off the ground one more time. Back into boat pose. Cross your legs. Lift up off the ground, and you want to scoot your feet back to the back of your mat and go back into plank pose, lifting up into upward facing dog and then downward facing dog. And just let's take a few moments to breathe here. Go ahead and come back into a seated position and lay flat on your back. And go ahead and raise your left leg up as high as you can and bring your hands out in front of you and leave your right leg down to the mat and lift up, doing kind of like a crunch, but you're leaving your left leg up as high as you can. So you're really engaging your abs here. So raise your hands up and your head up off the mat and use your abs to push yourself up, bringing your shoulders off of the mat. And let's just do a few of these. Bring your left leg down, and we'll do the opposite side. So lift your right leg up to the sky and bring your hands out in front of you and do like a crunch here. And leaving the left foot down on the mat and the left leg is up as high as you can get it. And doing a crunch here. Let's do a few more. Go ahead and bring your right leg down. And let's just take a few moments to breathe. Go ahead and bring both legs up to the sky and reach for your ankles. Reach as high as you can. And bring your head off of the mat as well. And if you like, you can stay there. If you want to go for more of a challenge, you can bring your heads up over your head into plow pose. And just hold it. Slowly bring your back down to the mat, leaving your both legs up to the sky. And let's do that again. So just reach up as high as you can to your ankles. If you like, you can stay there. Or if you want to go for more of a challenge, bring your feet up over your head into plow pose. Stretching out your lower back and your hamstrings. Bring both legs back down to the mat. And go ahead and sit up with your legs slightly bent. And then you can go ahead and raise your right leg up as straight as you can, engaging your abs. And bring your hands out in front of you. And bring that leg down and go ahead and try to straighten the left leg with your hands out in front of you. And make sure you're engaging your abs here. And bring your right leg up. Bring it back down. And bring up your left leg up as high as you can. And just keep alternating sides. Make sure you really engage the abs. Go ahead and cross your legs, lift your butt off the ground, and then scoot your feet back into a plank pose, lower down into chaturanga, and then up into upward facing dog, and then back into downward facing dog. And let's just breathe here. And always remember to keep your intention of your practice. Don't forget to do that while you're practicing, to remember your intention that you set at the beginning of today's practice. And let's rest into child's pose. So bring your hips back, hands down to the mat, and let's just rest into child's pose. Go ahead and step back into downward facing dog and come back into a seated position. And now you want to bring the soles of your feet together, opening up your legs, and sit up as straight as you can. You want to put your hands on the bottom of your feet, having the soles of your feet together, and then you use your elbows to push your legs down. And you want to keep the soles of your feet together with your legs spread apart, and go ahead and lay down flat on your mat. Bring your hands behind your head and do a small crunch. So you want to leave your legs, the soles of your feet together with legs spread apart, and we're doing a small crunch here. And try to keep try not to strain your neck too much while you're doing these. Let's do a few more. And really engage the abs. And go ahead and lift the soles of your feet off of the mat and bring them back down. Lift them up, bring them back down, leaving the soles of the feet together with legs spread apart. It's really challenging. Let's do a few more. Go ahead and close. Bring your legs back together and come back into a seated position. And let's just sit straight up as you can into staff pose, bringing the legs as close as you can together. Flex the feet. Bring your hands up to the sky and reach down into a forward fold to stretch out our lower back. And just reach as far as you can. If you can't touch your toes, just reach as far as you can. Go ahead and raise your head up. And go ahead and scoot to the top of your mat. Cross your legs, lift your butt off the ground. Bring your legs back into a plank pose, lower down into chaturanga, lift up into upward facing dog, head back to the sky, and then downward facing dog. And let's breathe here. Go ahead and bring your knees down to the mat. Bring your hips back into child's pose. And come back into the middle of your mat, into a comfortable seated position. That can be half lotus, full lotus, whatever's comfortable for you. And let's just take in all of our benefits that we received from today's practice. Let's just give thanks for our health, our mind, our bodies, and let's just embrace however we're feeling today. And just be present in this moment and breathe. And just let's take a few moments to just breathe and be present wherever we are. When you're done, bring your hands to heart center. Give thanks. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me today.